Welcome, welcome. All right, folks, we are going to do it. We are going to talk about the most important thing for the New York Mets to accomplish in this season 2024. Okay, obviously, there are a lot of important things, but this by far is the most important that will determine our team's future success. All right. And if you watch any of my last videos, you know that winning, or I believe winning, is all about pitching, pitching, pitching. The Mets need to find pitching. Offensively, I believe we'll be okay. Defensively, we're improving. Pitching is where it's all about. Right now, our team currently only has Kodai Senga that I could really kind of count on when he's healthy to perform at a high level. Other than that, we have a lot of question marks. Hopefully, Luis Severino, Sean Manaea, these guys step up, and who knows if these guys turn things around and we sign them to value contracts, we can fill up our rotation. But next year in 2025, and that's when I count on the team really accelerating, putting the foot to the pedal. Potential big moves. Obviously, re-signing Alonzo, acquiring a guy like Juan Soto, bringing up our prospects and having them succeed like Luis Angel Acuna, Drew Gilbert. Yes, that's great. That'll help our offense. Francisco Alvarez taking a step. Ronnie Mauricio taking a step. But it all doesn't matter if we don't have pitching. Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about an example of what the Mets need to do. Mets need to discover, find, develop their young pitching because we have some options. We just need these guys to develop. And the one guy who, I could kind of make comparisons to his minor league career, a guy by the name of Dominic Hamel. Dominic Hamel is our fifth ranked pitching prospect, and he's our 14th ranked prospect overall. So, I'm not saying he's the best. I'm not saying he's the worst. I'm just picking out, you could take a guy with talent like Dominic Hamel, and I'm going to compare him. Thus far, Dominic Hamel in his minor league career hasn't blown you away. Really hasn't blown you away. He's 18-9. He's got a 3.51 ERA. So, he's been nice. He's got a good strikeout per nine. He strikes out 11.4 per nine. So he's decent in that respect. But you're probably wondering, why the heck am I highlighting Dominic Hamel? I'm not highlighting other guys. Our number one pitching prospect in our entire organization is Christian Scott. So he's a guy who has made tremendous strides. But I'll tell you why exactly I'm highlighting Dominic Hamel, and it's a very important reason. We'll go over that right now. Okay, so there's a lot of pressure on Hamel. Hamel right now is 25 years old. If you're a good pitcher with talent, quite often you're already made it to the majors. 25 is actually a bit old. So Hamel, this spring training, has made it known to everyone, I want to be on the big club this year. I am ready. I want to perform. Okay, yeah, it's good to talk about it. And I actually like that attitude. I like the fact that he's making it known to ownership, to the front office, I am ready. That's all important. And he actually said, I have a quote here. He goes, and this is what he told the front office, I like to win. I like to compete. I like to pitch. Hamel recalled of what he told Stearns during their chat. And if I can help, I'd like to help the team as soon as I can. I know you've got expectations for me, but I've got my own as well. I want to be up there in the majors. I want to be an immediate impact guy. But that all comes by me coming in here day by day, stacking days. Okay, so let's really kind of unpack that quote. And like I said, I like that attitude. Apparently, Hamel has had a personal conversation with David Stearns and made it known. Not only do I want to pitch this year, I want to be immediately productive this year. That is my goal. And honestly, folks, we need that. It is good. When I say we need pitching, obviously you need pitching. But in terms of building a team these days, it is pivotal to develop and bring up starting pitching through your organization. Case in point, Zack Wheeler just signed a contract extension with the Phillies, an average annual value of $42 million. Point being, it is so damn expensive to sign quality pitching. You cannot do what the Mets did 2 years ago and sign multiple front end starters for $42 million a year. That is called bad risk assessment. You put all your eggs in one basket. You basically you monopolize a third of your payroll. You put your team at risk of being in salary cap hell, at risk of having all these tax penalty, at risk of losing draft positioning, at risk of losing international draft money, at risk of not being able to sign your young players to contracts because you're gonna get tax penalties. Francisco Alvarez, this year we cannot sign him to an extension or else we would be hit with major penalties. So there is ultra importance of us developing our own pitching talent. Now, like I said, Hamills is not our top tier pitcher right now. He's not our best, but he is a guy who does have talent. Like I mentioned, he has the ability to strike guys out. His problem is he hasn't had the best command, and I want to just go over a bit of his stuff. But before I do that, I just want to tell you one thing. I mentioned how his numbers don't blow you away, but his minor league numbers are similar to a guy like Jacob deGrom's. Hamel has pitched to an 18-9 win-loss record. His ERA is 3.51. His strikeouts per nine is 11.4. His WHIP is 1.19. All right, so that's not great, but it's not horrible. Jacob deGrom in the minor leagues was 21-12 with an ERA of 3.56. Hamills was 3.51. He has a WHIP of 1.257. Hamill's WHIP was 1.19, so Hamel had a better WHIP. Jacob deGrom's strikeout per nine was 7.9. Hamill's is 11.2 or somewhat. So Hamel actually has a lower earner on average, a lower WHIP, a higher strikeout per nine. So he actually has better minor league numbers than Jacob deGrom. So, I'm not saying he's going to be a Jacob deGrom, but what you have to do is you have to give these guys opportunity, and you have to be able to cultivate these guys' talent. That's what you have to do. And, Dominic Hamel, if we can get him and maybe a Mike Vasil or Christian Scott, if two of those guys can plug up rotation spots, then maybe next year we're only looking for one or two starting pitchers. And that just makes our cap situation so much more feasible. And the fact that we can build a competitive, sustainable roster so much easier. Now, a little bit more about Dominic Hamel. And like I said, if you compare his numbers to a Jacob deGrom, his numbers do look impressive. But let's see what the scouts are saying. Scouts, so just so you know a little bit about the basics, like I mentioned, he is 25 years old. He's 6'2". He's a right-handed pitcher. He was drafted in 2021. He was drafted in the third round. He was drafted 81st overall. Okay, so just and the scouting report just kind of says what I was really alluding to. Hamel needs to live on and around the edges of the zone for his arsenal to be at its best. And when he's eliciting swings, that can help rack up the Ks. When he's facing more disciplined hitters, the walks can be an issue, and that could lead him out of the rotation. He'll aim to remain a part of the conversation. Okay. So that basically said the guy has to live on the edges, and that control is an issue. If you look at his scouting grades, his fastball is graded as a 55, his curveball a 50, his slider a 60, so he's got a nasty slider, and his changeup a 45, control of 45. So again, his control is the issue. His fastball sits on an average of 93.6 miles per hour. So, when Jacob deGrom came up, that's what his fastball was, around 94, maybe 95 miles per hour on rare occasion. But this is the thing. When these guys come up, if they can come up with a 94, 95 miles per hour, these days, with the science and the technology, they're able to add velo. They are able to add velo. So he excels at getting chases out of the zone with his late biting low 80s slider. So it seems like his slider is his best pitch. That is his strikeout pitch. His spin rate, he's got a very high spin rate. His spin rate on his slider can touch 3,000 RPM. And that is what essentially has helped fuel his strikeout rate. He doesn't get the same chase rate on his curveball. That's usually in the mid 70s. He has a mid 80s changeup, but both those pitchers, they do seem a bit above average according to his last scouting report. Bottom line, this is what the Mets need to do. They need to give these guys opportunity. Giving these guys opportunity, like I said, will be essential to the team's overall success. Okay, now if you want to know the pitchers who are rated better than Dominic Hamel, according to the Mets farm system, you have Christian Scott. He's the best ranked pitcher, and Scott was a guy who was ranked like around 20 last year, so he's really elevated himself. He's our 5th ranked prospect, our number 1 pitcher. Our number 2 pitcher, according to MLB.com, is Blade Tidwell. Blade Tidwell is ranked the 10th best prospect overall. Blade Tidwell, I believe, was our number 1 prospect, or not number 1 prospect. He was our number 1 pitching prospect last year. Then number 3 pitching prospect, we have Mike Vasil sitting in at 11th overall. And then we have our 4th best pitching prospect as Brandon Sprout. I think we drafted Brandon last year. And then we have Dominic Hamel as our 5th best pitching prospect. But you know what? If we can develop these guys, like I said, that is the key. We are also guys to keep your radar, keep aware of. Other guys last year, Tyler Stewart, he's our 18th best prospect. He's a 6th ranked pitching prospect. He's a guy last year who, pitched pretty well most of the season. He's 6'9". He's 24 years old. Last year, he had a pretty good season in 2023 in 21 games. Stewart was 7-2 with a 2.2 ERA. So that was very impressive. His whip was 1.10. He had 112 strikeouts, and that was in 110 innings. So that's about a strikeout per inning. So, bottom line, Tyler Stewart, he's another guy who is on the radar. These guys, by the time they're 24, 25 years old, it's about time. If they're talented, they should be at the major league level. Other guys, if you go further down, other guys, Nate Lavender, he's a lefty. He's pitched in the beginning of spring training. He's a guy who has looked impressive. Last year, Nate, in the minor leagues, he pitched to a 4-3 win-loss record, 2.98 earner and average against 1.96. That's really good. In 54 innings, he had 86 strikeouts. Wow. So this guy's, wow, Nate Lavender's got pretty nasty numbers. So he's a guy that, look out for him. So, all right, so, but this is what I'm saying. This is what the Mets have to do. Continue to give these guys opportunities. So what do you think? What do you think about Dominic Hamel? I'm pretty sure, he's a guy that I haven't really followed that much, but we've heard about him over the last couple of years because he was a pretty high draft pick. Like I said, he was drafted in the 3rd round. But this is going to be pivotal to the Mets' 2024 success. Yes, we want them to sign Pete Alonso, and we got to have a lot of stuff coming out on about Pete Alonso. He's a guy I'll always love. He's a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's all about New York. So Pete Alonso, I'm going to continue to say the Mets need to sign him for more reasons than on the field. It's really on and off, and also other factors. He's a guy who brings intangibles to the table. He wants to win. He wants to make the other guys in the clubhouse better, and that's what you need. And if you really look at it, in 2022, when the Mets won 101 games, I got to say, Jacob deGrom, he was injured for part of that season. Pete Alonso, Quite possibly. I think that he was their best player. He was their best player on and off the field. Um, and I got to say, he had a big part to do with how they perform. Yeah, Max Scherzer did well that year. The next year after that, they fell apart. They just didn't mix and match. They spent a heck of a lot of money. But Pete Alonso, I don't think really played a part in that. You got to remember, he was just a part of the 101 game. Why would you blame him for the team really falling flat on their face, especially when he was carrying the team for the first 2 months? The guy gets hit by Charlie Morton, and his whole season was curtailed, really. He hit 46 home runs, but still, he was playing with like a broken hand. He took 10 days out when it should have been he was out 4 or 5 weeks. So he really played, he was a warrior last year. A guy who set a clear example to the other players, like, this is how you play, this is what it means to be a major league player, and you're paid to be on the field. And I also give Lindor credit for that as well. Lindor has had his, a share of, small injuries, but has gotten back on the field very, very quickly. So those two guys, in terms of leadership, have shown the young guys you got to be on the field. Okay, so I like that. Any more members who want to make their win predictions? I added a couple more member predictions. So keep dropping your predictions. How many wins you think the Mets will win for the 2024 season? Like I said, people have predicted anywhere from 67 wins to 95 wins. So the range is pretty wide, and I'm interested to see where all of our thought process is. All right, well, again, like, subscribe, share our videos. I really I can't thank you enough. It's very a lot of the comments are how good they are. Like, it's like, wow. I'm very blown away. So I really cannot thank you enough. I will speak to you very, very soon, and we'll keep producing this, interesting Mets baseball content. And I love the feedback. Have a great day, and again, let's go Mets.